Hey VC, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing okay. I'm here in Texas just kind of freezing my butt off because it's about, I think 47 degrees outside today, and that's pretty close to the bottom of where we get here in Texas. I think the lowest we typically get in the year is just below freezing, maybe like 29 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. So yeah, we're not used to weather like this, but we're hanging on. We're doing okay. I know some of you are complaining. Um, that's not that cold. 47 is nothing. It's very cold to me, okay? So anyway, yeah, this is my contest entry for Noble Records 750 subs contest. Um, Dylan, he's a great guy, great channel. He runs a small business called Noble Records. Does pop-up stores. It looks like a really cool thing. I wish I could go to one sometime, but I'm not in his local area. But anyway, he runs a great YouTube channel. If you like videos about buying collections and stories about being a dealer and things like that, it's a great channel to follow if you're not already. I think I've talked about him before as well. And as well as personal collection, he has a great taste in music. He's really big into psych and prog and 70s stuff, that kind of thing. Anything kind of weirdo, slightly obscure, stuff like that he's into. So, great channel, highly recommended. And by the way, congrats, Dylan. I think you have over 1,000 subs by now at this point, maybe 1,100, something like that. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start. There's 5 questions, which I'll do my best to answer. I probably should have written them down before I started, but I'll just go from what I can remember based on what I pulled. Um, Question 1, I think, was, what's your earliest memory of records? I I don't want to say this is like my earliest memory. I feel like I've seen, like when I was a little kid, I saw like jukeboxes and stuff, and uh, kind of asked my parents or grandparents or whoever I was with, like what the deal with that was, and they kind of explained to me what a record was. It never really stuck, honestly. I grew up in the era of CD and cassettes, kind of the tail end of the cassette era. CDs were definitely the big thing, and I had a CD player, a little portable thing, and a couple CDs, things like that. But records were like kind of foreign to me until one Christmas. I think I want to say like 12 years old, 13 years old. I was super into the Beatles. I had the Beatles one CD, and my grandpa's into the Beatles as well, and so he got me a big stack of records, including some of these here. This is actually my grandmother's copy of The Best of the Animals, and you can see her name. She wrote on the back, Rose. That's my grandmother. But that was one of them, and then some Beatles stuff, and like Bridge Over Troubled Water, stuff like that. As well as more, which I don't have anymore for various reasons. But he gave me those and a record player, and then his old stereo, and then I got a pair of speakers. I think they're my dad's speakers. So I had a little setup going and some records, and he kind of set me on the path that I'm on right now and what you see behind me. So I have him to thank for that. So thanks, Grandpa, if you're watching this. And yeah, that's question 1. Question 2, I think, is what is the first record you got into? I'll interpret that question as record you fell in love with, like front to back. Don't skip any songs, because there were tons of records I was into, but maybe not quite in the same way as this one, where I would listen to it kind of on a loop nonstop for probably like a year straight, honestly. It's The Wall by Pink Floyd. Kind of a classic, very well known. I don't really think I need to explain it very much, other than the fact that it's kind of a good intro to like concept albums. It's basically, I mean, obviously a movie was made out of this, but even the record itself is like, it's like listening to the audio of a movie. The story is that coherent, and there's a clear plot that it follows, and I just thought that was super cool. And I got into more Pink Floyd stuff, obviously, and yeah, but this is a great intro. Question 3, I believe, is what is a really important record to you, record or records. I just chose one. It's number one off of my top 100 list if you haven't seen those videos. Um, OK Computer by Radiohead. This is probably my most, well, obviously it's my favorite, but I think it's probably the most important album um, to me in terms of, I'll say, not relatability, but just kind of it expresses a lot of the aspects of living in the 21st century, even though it came out just at the tail end of the 20th century. But it's kind of more relevant now than it has ever been. Even the title, OK Computer, kind of, evokes saying like OK Siri or OK Google or whatever it is. Any of those things. That's like a new double meaning it has now. But, it expresses themes of like anxiety and paranoia and depression and coming to grips with modern life, working and it just kind of encapsulates all those feelings into a great rock album. No bad songs on here. The only one I kind of skip sometimes is Fitter Happier. It's a kind of a computer spoken word thing in the middle of the album. It's spoken word by a computer, the Microsoft text program, text-to-speech thing. Which, it sounds kind of dated now. And then when I'm listening to the full album all the way through, I don't skip it. But if it came up on shuffle or something like that, it's, not really a song, so I don't really want to listen to it by itself. Kind of like how I don't go out of my way to listen to Revolution 9 by the Beatles all the time. Not really a song. The most I've ever spent on a record is far and away this one. I don't usually spend too much on records. But I ponied up for this. It's the Killers' Hot Fuss. The Killers' debut record. This is an original pressing. I'll go ahead and take it out because it's colored. But it's original pressing. You can tell it has the kind of foil stamped logo for the band. It's on this cool translucent blue vinyl, dark blue. Looks really good. It has a different track. The final track, I believe, is different than on the CD version. It includes indie rock and roll. I think that might actually just be a bonus track. I don't know if it's the fact that it's switched something off of the CD. I don't think that's right. I think it's just a bonus track. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, but far and away I paid the most for this album than anything else in my collection. I found this at a record store in Nashville. Trying to remember which one it was. I want to say it was The Groove. I think it's just called The Groove in Nashville, like on the east side. So I paid market value for this. They had it on consignment from somebody. I just never seen one before. It was really cool. And that was at a time where this was not in print. You could not get this record other than this original pressing, a pressing from Hot Topic that included like a t-shirt, which is also kind of cool, and several bootlegs. But now it has been repressed, I think maybe even just within the last year or two. Standard black vinyl, standard cover and everything. So that's all well and good. I'm keeping my original because I think it's cool. And question 5 is, what is a holy grail item? And I'm interpreting this as not just a record that I want badly, because obviously I want a ton of records badly, but I want stuff like, I need a copy of like Led Zeppelin 3. That's not super hard to find. I could go online and buy one, but I'm kind of holding out for a deal for stuff like that. I'd love like original Nick Drake stuff, and not even, that's a whole separate conversation of like original pressings. For that kind of thing, I would take US pressings, honestly. If they were, they don't even have to be first pressings. I would take like late 70s for stuff like that. It would be cool to have original UK pressings, but I know that's maybe not the most reasonable thing to want. It'd be cool to have like Pink Island labels and stuff like, King Crimson, or again, the Nick Drake stuff, Brian Eno, anything like that. Island is a great label. But anyway, the one I'm going to talk about, even though I've gotten sidetracked already, is a record by this guy here, um, Harumi Hosono. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but he's a guy. He was in Yellow Magic Orchestra, and he produced a lot of stuff. And he produced a record in I want to say the year 1982 by a Japanese group called Inoyama Land, which is these two guys. They combined their names into the word Inoyama, and they put out a record that I can't pronounce. I can picture how it's spelled in my head. It's like Danzaden Pojidon or something like that. Um, and the cover art it's like a photo of a turtle underwater mixed with like a topographical map on top of it. It looks kind of neat. Originals had the OB strip and everything. It's a cool ambient record is my point, and it's produced by this guy. And I had a copy before. I found it at Half Price Books for 15 bucks, not really knowing what it was, doing a quick Google in the store and seeing like, okay, this is kind of a valuable thing. I kept it for probably like a month or two, listened to it a handful of times, and eventually it was like, I can probably pass on this, so I sold it. Honestly, got a nice profit, and now I regret selling it because I will not ever be able to get one. But I'm hopeful that this label, Light in the Attic, who this year have done some reissues for this guy, they've teased that they'll do more reissues next year, as well as not just his solo work, but stuff that he's produced. So it would be cool, and if anybody from the company is seeing this, it would be really awesome if you could repress that record by Inuyama Land or their whole discography. I would be very happy. That's my holy grail. And yeah, that's all 5 questions. Again, congrats Dylan on the subs. Well deserved. Keep it up. Keep doing your thing. You've inspired me a little bit to kind of do something similar. And who knows? Who knows how it'll turn out. But yeah, thanks again. And I'll look forward to everybody else's entries. Take care.